Welcome back to episode 23 of the Fourth and Long podcast. Thank you all for joining us here today as we have a myriad of discussions revolving the debut, or at least the re-debut, of the XFL. We're going to talk some MLB rule changes along with a comeback of a loved segment. Um, this week, I'm once again joined by my co-host, Jalen Johnson. Thanks for being here tonight, buddy.
How's it going? How's it going?
It's going pretty swell, Things are moving up in the world. I know you guys know this by now because this is how you're listening to it, but we're on Spotify now. And we
On
got
Spotify after
sponsorship
months and
now.
months.
Shout out to Anchor. You guys are the best. And then also,
Yeah, shout out to
we'll
Anchor. You most
discuss this a
likely hear
little bit at
that.
the end, but we are accepting fan donations and fan sponsorships to keep this show up and running. But to get
Yep.
things started, the XFL, Vince McMahon, the millionaire who should be a billionaire, is bringing back what was once known as the Extreme Football League, a league filled with over the topness. You have dudes with nicknames on the back. Shout out to He Hate Me, probably one of the greatest nicknames of all time. You had no coin tosses, but instead a opening scramble where you had two guys fight over the ball. First one to get the ball wins. You had a lot of negatives with it, but some positives. Like the old XFL did introduce the Skycam, which is used in every football game production to date. So they did some things wrong. They did a lot of things wrong, and that's why they didn't
A
make it
lot of
out of
things wrong.
2001. But he brought it back. I remember it announced in 2018 in the spring. I was in my math class, and when they announced that it was coming back in 2020, I was excited. I was excited all last week leading up to it, and on Saturday when it kicked off at 12 o'clock between DC Defenders and Seattle Dragons at Audi Stadium, I was not disappointed in the least. If anything, I was even more impressed than I thought I was going to be. Yeah, the commissioner of the league, Oliver Luck, a longtime NFL mind, helping out this league. A lot of rule changes, brand new teams, brand new players, and I think that overall, this opening weekend of the XFL was a tremendous success. And as football fans, we should all be excited. And as the owners of this league, especially Vince McMahon, they should all be really excited based on how that first weekend went.
Definitely. I think it was great to see. There were a couple of times that I forgot I was watching XFL football, other than like the jerseys and the names.
It's just
I saw a
football.
couple of hits and I was like, damn it, they're gonna throw a damn flag. And then I didn't see a flag come in. I was like, wait a minute.
Wait, you mean
I forgot we watched XFL for a bit.
we can see someone make good, clean contact with a guy, put his shoulder into his chest, even though it's a hard hit, but he won't get penalized for making a good football play? What world are we
Yeah, it,
living
it
in?
was freaking awesome.
It
It was
was
freaking awesome to see,
amazing.
especially as a defensive player.
Yes,
It was
especially
amazing to see you able to just play football.
we saw quarterbacks get
It was
taken to the
beautiful.
ground where it's just a usual sack, and that's how they viewed it. No penalty. It's just a tackle.
Yeah, and like the NFL has corrupted my mind because there was a lot of plays. I saw a quarterback get like tapped in the head by a hand, and I
So,
was like
oh,
waiting
that's
for
penalty.
flags to
Where's the
come
flag?
out.
Where's the flag?
Yeah, I was like waiting for flags to come out, and when the lack of flags for a bit, I was like, it took me like a game to get used to it, but I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I did. It
Oh no,
wasn't that I disliked it.
it's
I
just
loved it.
foreign.
It
It
took me
was
a second to
alien.
get off from that NFL mode. It was just like I was ready for these calls to be called, and I was like,
We actually
oh, they're
got to
not
sit
called. I'm
down
fine with
and
that.
watch football and the officials let players play football. What a crazy
Definitely.
thought that worked out amazingly. It-
Oh yeah, it was beautiful to see.
Say what
That
you want,
is
man.
that is football,
Exactly. The first
especially
game,
especially the yeah. Go ahead.
the first game we had, it was the Seattle Dragons at the DC Defenders. DC Defenders led by former national champion. We had a quarterback who played on the team that won the debut of the college football playoffs championship, and now he's debuting for a team in the XFL, and he both had great games in either performances. Cardell Jones, uh, I think he was like he was drafted and then he just kind of floundered, but now he's found his way into the XFL and he's the face of the league because he's a notable
Yeah,
name. He has a great arm and he showed off 16 for 26, 235 yards, a couple touchers. He was stayed off the turnovers. He had a good game. I loved that trick play that they had. It was reverse pass, and that was the first XFL touchdown. Was off a reverse pass trick play. I loved
was
it.
that the first touchdown?
It was
I thought the
first
first touchdown went
offensive
to a white
touchdown.
guy.
Was that the first one? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
that
First
wasn't the
first
first one.
DC touchdown. I'm sorry. Yes, the first touchdown went to a white guy, and we all know that he's about to get picked up by Bill Belichick at the end of this season. That is for damn sure.
Oh yeah, big
It
time.
might boost his resume if he played
That
lacrosse
is
in
actually one
college.
thing I liked that the XFL is right before the NFL season, so you can finish your XFL season. If you don't have a contract, you can then be signed by an NFL team.
So
I'm
the way
assuming unless
contracts
they have
work
something written
in
to the
the
contract.
XFL is that everyone besides quarterbacks are assigned to 1 year deals that end as soon as the season is over, so they can go sign with other leagues. The quarterbacks, however, operate under different contracts, but they are paid more than the other players. Believe quarterbacks can make up to $500,000 a season,
Yeah,
but they're also locked
yeah,
in longer because they want to. The quarterback is obviously the most important position to a team, especially in the growing league like the XFL, and they want to keep that name
yeah.
brand
Especially with
growing.
offensive playbooks and stuff like that.
Exactly. So they want to keep the quarterbacks longer, which is understandable. But we have guys that can go sign at the end of the season. And that's the way the XFL works. And they're not going to be working in partnership with the NFL, but they will of course, most of the players are going to be striving to make it either back to the NFL or into the NFL for the first time, which is,
I'm kind of waiting to get that player that's kind of just wants to be the face of the XFL. You know, it kind of
is
just
going to
comes
happen.
in. Uh, yeah, the sooner or later is going to happen to where the XFL is kind of just the pro football right after football. Right now, I think a lot of people are seeing it as a lot of people who didn't make the NFL because that's what they had to use to fill the league. But I feel like at some point, if the XFL season
Mm-hmm.
and the future of it stays like it was this first week,
Mm-hmm.
and the excitement doesn't just die down, I feel like it could be that thing to where guys who know they're not going to make the NFL or guys who want to develop a little bit more, not necessarily bad players,
Is it
just
JUCO?
go straight to the
It's a
XFL.
JUCO for the
Yeah,
NFL.
instead of it's JUCO to the NFL, or you play a couple years of college and you're not going to make it in college. Go play there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just like
Mm-hmm.
if you can't make the grades and stuff like that, a lot of players go to the supplemental draft. Set a supplemental
Mm-hmm.
draft, play a season in the
Well,
XFL.
that's what they
If
had.
you go to
There's a player. I remember it was. I forget which team he was on, but he was on either the Dallas Renegades or St. Louis Battlehawks. Because I heard sideline reporter Pat McAfee was talking about this. There's a player out of West Virginia who was academically ineligible for this upcoming football season, so instead he went to the
hmm
XFL. And so he's making money, and he's still playing football. And the way he looks like a high draft pick. I'm sorry, I forget his name, but he looks like he's going to be a high draft pick, possibly in this year's draft. Who knows? But that's
yeah,
opening the second option. That's
can
like
can
what college
XFL
basketball
players
or
apply for the draft?
yeah, it's almost like what's it called? Like a lot of high schoolers now because they can't go. They have to play at least 1 year in college for basketball for high school basketball players, but instead they're going
hmm
overseas to pro leagues, playing a season there, and then coming to the NBA because they can go. They don't necessarily need to go to college. They can go overseas, get the same experience, if not better experience, and get paid for it. That's almost what the XFL is becoming
Definitely.
in a way.
But for the XFL, if you play a season XFL, do you go into the draft or you become a free agent?
You can do either. Your contract expire once for all players that aren't a quarterback. Your contract expires at the end
hmm
of the season,
Yeah,
so
I
you can.
understand the contract expires, but I'm kind of looking at it
Oh,
as
you
for
get drafted,
NFL,
or
if you
the
become
NFL takes you
pro,
is. Huh?
yeah, so that doesn't count as a year in a pro league technically.
I don't know. It's a good question.
That's a good
You probably
question.
just become a
We'll
free
have the answer
agent.
for that for you guys for next week.
Sorry, yeah, you probably do. Sorry, yeah, that's right. Thanks for bringing that. No, obviously that guy isn't going to get drafted. He would have been a high draft pick, is what I meant to say. He would have been a
Yes,
high
okay,
draft
never
pick,
mind that. Yeah.
but they can go into free agency and sign with teams, which is a great way to see this. Another a game that meant a lot to me and Jalen is somehow I don't even know why, but I declared my loyalty to the Houston Roughnecks about a month ago. Jalen declared his
Hmm.
loyalty to the LA Wildcats. And we didn't even know
Yep.
this, but they ended up playing week one, which worked out perfectly for us. Even better
Worked
for
out
me
perfectly.
because the best team in the XFL, led by the best quarterback in the
Debatable.
XFL, beat the Wildcats 37-17 in Houston. Yeah, the quarterback for the Rednecks, PJ Walker, going off 23 for 39, 272 yards, 4 touchdowns to only 1 interception, and he is your league leading MVP. Or he's leading the league in the MVP race currently. Um,
After one game.
hey, am I wrong? He's leading.
No.
Okay.
To
And
be
the
honest though,
Roughnecks are statistically the best team in the league as of right now because it's them top of their division. But New York is up there. St. Louis and DC, they're all in the East. They're all at 1-0. But the Roughnecks have the higher point differential and the most points scored, making them the best team in the league, making me very happy. I think I made the right choice. I'm probably speaking too soon, and I better knock on wood, but I'm gonna take what I can get right now. And
honestly, right now, I'm gonna stay an LA Wildcats fan for now for the season at least.
you
I'm
nope,
kind of
you can't
waiting.
change. You're
I'm not
locked
gonna.
in. You're locked in for
No, no,
life,
no.
Jalen.
Let me just explain real quick.
Okay,
I
okay.
am going to stay an LA Wildcat fan. And but I do also. I don't want to get too dedicated into it right now. I kind of want to see how the league expands. I like when they're fully expanded. If they do end up progressing that far, I kind of want to see if we end up getting like a Sacramento team or something like that. I'd love to just be a fan of the Sacramento team.
Hey, Jalen.
But as of right now, I'm going to stay LA.
We don't need the long drawn out explanation. Just say you're going to be a bandwagon, and we'll accept it.
I'm not going to be a bandwagon. No, but I
That's what
definitely
bandwagon
I'm
would
going to be
say.
an LA fan. I'm going to be an LA fan if it comes down to no team is made in my hometown or even like an Arizona team. I'm going to stick with LA, but I'm not going
Yeah,
to switch to any of the other original 8 teams.
that's fair.
Original 8 team will always be LA. But
Okay,
if expansion wise, if it ends up being one of my areas, I might switch to one of my areas.
okay, that's fair. Another game. We already see a front runner for the worst team in the league, and that is the Tampa Bay Vipers, led by quarterback Aaron
Ouch.
Murray. Um, he did nothing, and he had 2 near interceptions. They got absolutely smoked. The New York Guardians defeated the Vipers 23-3 down there in MetLife Stadium. You had former Raiders quarterback making 7 starts, beloved by most of the fans, a name that most people will recognize if you watch the NFL, Matt McGloin, possible face of the XFL. 15 for 29, 182 yards,
Yeah.
1 touchdown. He didn't set the world on fire, but obviously he led his team enough to win, which is better than what he could have done in the NFL. Better than what he did in the NFL,
Yeah.
at least in the in the
One thing I
regular
want to point
season.
out though is did you see how clean those Guardian jerseys look?
With them Guardian jerseys are nice.
The whole uniform is
Hey,
clean.
if we're talking
Like
about
I
uniform,
love those
Guardians might have best
uniforms.
uniforms. Best logo. I might sound like
Yeah,
a homer,
definitely.
but I love the Houston Roughnecks logo just because it's a throwback to the old Houston Oilers logo. And I love
I
throwbacks
do
like
like
that.
the logo.
I do like
Me
throwbacks
too.
like that. Best entrance of the weekend, hands down, goes to the Dallas Renegades with their whole
Definitely.
with their tunnel in the shape of their logo, all the smoke. They got let out into the field by 4 guys on choppers playing Charlotte Flair's WWE entrance music throughout the stadium. I
Yeah, no, that was definitely
need
beautiful
I
to see.
say more? Easily the best entrance. Come on now. Come on now. And I do
Okay,
got to say,
and
former Texas Rangers Stadium, Globe Life Park, it got refitted to a football stadium, and it does look pretty
yeah,
good, to be honest. I do like the look of
it
that
looks pretty nice.
that stadium with the football field in it. I'm all for it.
Definitely.
I am all for that.
But I don't want to sound like, just because it's my team, LA Wildcats.
Hmm.
But my favorite celebration of the week was
Oh, was it?
that Randy Orton celebration of the XFL, the LA Wildcats.
Oh yeah.
That was beautiful.
He struck the
And at
Randy
first he
Orton
threw it up, and I was like,
pose.
wait a minute.
Mm.
Yeah, he just put it up there. He got hit later in the
Twice,
game for it,
twice
but
for both touchdowns. Mad respect.
yeah,
Hey, I
mad
love
respect. He threw it up
if
there.
I love the XFL making reference to the WWE because of course it's going to be there. I was all over on Twitter making all sorts of um, WWE themed kind of posts about the XFL. Why not
Oh
embrace it?
yeah, definitely. And
Because
I feel like
the XFL it's about entertainment, and what the WWE
it
can be a
is.
lot is entertaining as hell. So if you combine the two, or maybe not combine, that's not the right word, but if you kind of relate
You
a
take some of the good
WWE
aspects of wrestling, and you take the good aspects of football, and you put them together.
and you sprinkle a little bit of the showmanship of and pageantry
Yeah,
of
you
wrestling
sprinkle a little bit of
onto
showmanship.
football, it's going to be fun. That's all. Like
Yeah,
extravagant entrances to awesome music and pyro.
yeah.
Hell yes. Give me all that. Feed me more.
And after the first week, I don't know if you heard about this. I ended up already after the first week. I downloaded the XFL app and I get the notifications on my phone. That's how
Oh, you
excited I
bet.
was.
I
And
get the notifications
yep.
on my phone.
And I found out this week already making big moves. The LA Wildcats just fired their D coordinator after
After
one
one
game.
week.
Fired out of there, gone, no job.
Shout out to him
They
for becoming the
also
first coach fired in XFL history.
yeah,
Also, he's probably going to
and
hold that record for a while of the quickest firing in XFL history.
I think yeah, unless somebody gets fired mid game, I think he has that record.
Oh,
But also the pretty much the face of the team. I'm pretty sure it was Anthony Johnson. He was also released. He's on all the
yeah.
promos. Every single thing is him.
What's
He was
happening?
released also.
What, LA's
I
all
think they're just
1 week into the new league, and the Wildcats are already
and they're
hitting the panic
rebuilding.
button. Good on them. That's exactly what I want to see.
But I'm kind of excited because it's like I don't know if this is like he was mad and he released them, or did he see it and automatically know how to fix it? Like, is it a I'm fixing things right? I'm pretty sure what I think it is I think he wanted to be D coordinator. He's a defensive minded coach, and I think he wanted to be D coordinator.
Mm.
So firing the D coordinator gave him the ability to just take over, which
Eh,
I don't mind. And then firing the face of the defense who didn't really show up too much also
that's a bold
is
move, Con.
also
We'll
a
see how it
move.
plays out.
Definitely.
I love the action.
But
I think
all in all,
yeah.
how'd you like the XFL?
I thought it was awesome. One of my favorite parts was the rule changes. I was a little skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
I was skeptical about some of these, especially the kickoff rule. If for those that
Yeah,
don't
me
know,
too.
the new rules is that you have the kicker kicking off from his own 30, where he's all alone. He's in no man's land. The kick coverage team is on the opposing 35-yard line. The kick return team is on their own 30-yard line, and then the kick returner is behind that. The kick return and the kick cover teams cannot move from their yard lines until the kick returner receives the kickoff. Then they're free to attack. There's penalties for kicking the ball into the end zone for a touchback. If you kick the ball out of bounds, then the team takes over at the opposing team's 45-yard line, which we did see a few times.
More scoring.
Big
We did
change
see a
in
couple
field
of times. Yeah.
position. The kickoffs, they normally average around, I'd say, 10 to 15-yard returns. We did see one during the Houston game where Houston broke it for a big return, taking out to about the 50. And it didn't take away from the kickoff. It created a little bit more lanes, and honestly, it was a little more exciting. And if we're talking player
Yeah.
safety, it's definitely not with player safety because you don't have guys spraying down the field 30 yards and making contacts. You're within 5 yards. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that rule is a success, and I enjoy that one.
I definitely enjoy that rule.
The new PAT rules are awesome. There are no more. You cannot kick a point after attempt anymore in the XFL. Instead, you can go for 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points. So we potentially have 9 point scores. The You can go for a 1 point by going from the 2 yard line. The 5 yard line is a 2 point conversion or a 2 point try, and the 10 yard line is a 3 point try. We saw plenty of 1 point and 2 point conversions. No 3 point conversions were attempted in this first week, but I really enjoyed that one. Of course, we still have kickers being impactful on the kickoffs and on field goals. But I do like the
Yeah,
idea that a team could be down 9 points and it's still a one score game. It's of course going to be hard to
yeah,
convert,
technically it's still one score game.
but it's a one
But the
score game.
downside to having those points is if you turn the ball over and they take it, they get those points.
Mm-hmm.
So you can give up 3 points. You can give up 2 points. You can even give up 1 point. So it's a gigantic chess match in my opinion.
It just brings a lot more strategy and thinking into the game instead of just being able to go out there and just have it automatic 1 point 99% of the time. You still have to fight for that extra
Yeah.
point, which does add to more excitement. As well, there's more benefits to going for it on fourth down. We saw a lot more fourth down attempts tried this weekend. 2 minute warnings were changed in this league. So, of course, part of the rule is shorter play clock. It's only 25 seconds, whereas the NFL is 40 seconds. So that's a huge difference. It's definitely a quicker pace to the football games, which, as a fan, it was easier to watch a game instead of having to sit through a lot. There was more football being played this game than there would be in the NFL, which is awesome. Um, but
Yeah.
in 2 minutes, in the final 2 minutes of the second and fourth quarter, during those 2 minute warnings, the clock stops at 2 minute warning. That's timeout. But what happens during those 2 minute warnings is that the playbook has been opened up just as much as it is outside the 2 minute warning, because it doesn't matter if you go out of bounds, incomplete pass, get tackled in the middle of the field. The clock stops until the ball is spotted in 5 seconds run off the snap count or the snap clock. And so what this does is that you don't, if it's down the middle of the field, you don't have to spike it. You obviously you can't take your time, but you can still open up plays or run plays that are passes to the middle of the field. Everything is still open, which gives it even more advantage to the offense, which is what most of these rules effectively do. And it
Hmm.
keeps it's called called like the comeback rule, because it gives teams an even higher chance if they're down to come back and score inside those 2 minute warnings, which does increase the excitement of the game, and they achieve that with that new rule.
Yeah, I also think, in my opinion, even though this league is kind of built to make offenses look good, a couple of defenses looked pretty good. Even a couple of teams gave up a lot of points, but it was kind of like you kind of expected more points to go up than there was. Defenses held their own in certain spots of games, and it was highly unexpected, especially the skill that was shown. I wasn't expecting, this type of high grade football, and I was definitely proven wrong. I was expecting, kind of like have a team, and it'd be kind of fun thing to watch, kind of laughable moments because
Hmm.
some players aren't really the best, but honestly, it was like watching just a new league of football,
This was a
just
high level of
pro
play,
football.
without a doubt. One of the biggest signs to these guys being legit and not just being a bunch of slaps is that the O lines. The O lines are normally the last thing that a team gets right, because it takes a lot of talent on the O line, but it also takes a lot of time to develop that bond and that trust between those five guys. Trust me, it does. It takes a lot more time than what a lot of
Yeah.
people think. But those O lines, they held up in pass protection for most of the plays for all 8 teams, and that's a really good sign that these guys,
Oh yeah,
it's
definitely
legit football. Where you don't have to worry.
legit.
Of course, there's going to be a talent drop off between the NFL and the XFL, without a doubt. But if you're just watching these games, you could hardly even tell. A couple of guys like the Vipers quarterback, and then I probably The Seattle the Dragons quarterback was a little iffy, but besides that, it just looked like a football game. You weren't thinking about, hey, these guys aren't that good. That wasn't a thought running through my head, and that also wasn't a thought running through most people's heads, which was a very
Not at all. It
pleasant
just looked like football.
surprise. I
To be
think.
honest, though, I'm kind of glad that the Vipers lost.
Mhm.
I'm more of a fan of Quentin Flowers, their backup quarterback. So I was kind of
He
hoping
did get a
he
few
ends up getting a
plays
start soon.
in
So
their late, and I think they're going to move him to being the starting quarterback going to next
I
week.
definitely think he should.
I think that whole fan base thinks he should. One of the funny
Yeah,
things
then
about the
especially
XFL
for that first week.
is that just in their first weekend, listen to this, in just the first weekend, the XFL sold more tickets than the AAF did in its entire existence. So
Ouch. that
that's brutal. That that's brutal for the
that
AAF,
is very
the
brutal.
Alliance of American Football that lasted 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Which yeah,
something
I
like
was
that.
kind of disappointed because I did like the Arizona Hotshots, but it's
Yeah,
on
me
to the
too.
Houston
That was the
Roughnecks.
first time we agreed upon
I
something,
know it was crazy.
and then it's gone.
I think my
I feel like we're the reason that the AAF didn't work. They're like
because
Ross
we
and Jalen
agreed
agree upon a team,
that's not a thing.
and they're like, no,
We can't ever do that again. But I think Jalen, my
never.
favorite part about the league, um, and it is the weekend as a whole, was the transparency of everything. No, in the NFL,
Hmm.
you will not get this level of transparency. We saw when they had to go to official replays and review. We listened in to their conversation of and them and we saw the screen of them looking through replays and all the camera angles and talking through the
The
process.
Xbox controller.
Hey, if the U.S. military can use Xbox controllers to control bomb drones and like flying drones, then XFL can use the Xbox controller to look through replays.
Definitely.
But I love
I
listening
think that's
in.
100% fair.
Thank you. Right. It's a decent argument, but I enjoyed
Decent.
thoroughly being able to listen to them talk us through their decisions. Like one specifically, it was like they were discussing on field. It was called a unnecessary roughness, like a hit against a defenseless receiver. But then they took it to review, which is great. In the first place, that they even went to review, which is something the NFL would probably never do, because Al Rivron, you
Never.
dirty bastard. Um, but they took it to review, and then they had them talk through. He initially thought that it was the replay official initially did think that it was unnecessary roughness, but he talked. He was like, "Oh nope, he wasn't launching himself. He wasn't initiating contact with his head. He led with his shoulder. He was not launching off the ground at this receiver with intent. Therefore, is
No
not
ground,
unnecessary
call of the head.
roughness." And I just loved listening to that. I love listening to the reasons, but also not even just on reviews, but when refs were huddled up, when the refs had their group huddles, we got mics on that, and we got to listen through to them talk through the steps of why they're making this decision or why they're not making this decision, and that's
Definitely.
perfect.
I liked it.
That's
I liked
perfect.
it like a lot. I think it's because it's a lot of the time there's like these calls and stuff, and then fans are like, "What? Why? How would you go get to that point?" And it's kind of like we kind of get to go through the process with the review team and the refs of what they saw as oh, I saw this and I saw that, and it's kind of like it kind of makes you not I wouldn't say less angry because certain fans are just always going to get angry
Of
about
course.
calls, but I think it kind of brings like a slight peace to it because you
If
kind of
I
okay,
agree.
I see that. I see what you mean.
That, but also like even
Yeah,
if it is a bad call, at least we know the reasoning. It could be awful
what their
reasoning,
reasoning was, what they
but
saw, what they
it
believed.
could be
Yeah,
really stupid reasoning. But at least we know what they were thinking, so we could criticize that instead of just criticizing the call itself. I think the
I
NFL should,
honestly go
without a
ahead.
doubt, institute this into their league. But I don't think they will, just because they're scared. The NFL is scared of embarrassing
Yeah,
themselves in front of tens of millions of people, and I'm not surprised because the NFL is ran by a bunch of cowards, especially looking at you, Roger
yep.
Goodell. But it's something that they should have. But Al Riveron and Roger Goodell and the rest of the heads of officials will never want this because that would put them in too much spotlight and make them have to perform to standards. and they're too
They
scared for
didn't have
that,
to do their job.
right? We're talking about
Who wants
crazy
to do
things,
that?
not calling penalties on normal tackles, refs doing their jobs and being held accountable.
What?
What is that?
Honestly, though, I'm waiting for the first time that a ref throws a flag and they have to huddle up and they're like, "What'd you see?" He's like, "Honestly, I don't know." I
It's gonna
honestly
happen
wanted to
eventually,
see
right?
one of those moments
And
eventually, because I feel like one week when the rest is just gonna forget that he's mic'd up, he's gonna throw the flag, and then they're gonna get there
like
and
in
he's
that
gonna be
one
like,
Geico
"I
commercial or
totally forgot
whatever it
why I threw
was.
that." He had the mic on. He's
I
like, "What?
can't wait.
I
But
don't know.
they
I
also
don't know.
had
Let's
head
act like we're
coaches
talking
mic'd
about
up,
something."
which was fun. We can listen into their
And
play
players.
calls. Players were all mic'd up. We had Pat McAfee standing on the field, like behind, like 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage on the field. We had one of my favorite things was being able to interview players like mid game. So like we had a player go make the stupid decision. He like fumbled. A reporter could go up to him. Hey, why'd you fumble that football, you idiot?
My favorite interview was actually one of the first ones.
Was
Well,
it
not
was
the
it the one
first
during
one.
the
It was
Roughnecks?
one of the first one.
Was it the one during the Roughnecks Wildcats game?
No, no, it was not. It was actually the first game, the DC game,
Oh, the
when the kicker
Seattle offensive
missed.
lineman. Oh, the kicker one. There's a few
Yeah,
good
that
ones.
that Seattle one was also one of my favorites. I did like that. That was hilarious. But the DC kicker, he just more of a serious one that I liked. That lineman one was my funny one that I
Yeah,
liked the most. But the serious one I liked the most was the DC kicker missed. And most kickers, they go to the sideline, they slam their helmet, they fume a little bit. But in the XFL, you do that, there's a camera right in your face ready to ask you,
you can't
why'd you
do
miss
that.
that kick? Why'd you miss that kick? And then he said, yeah, I just rushed it, trying to do too much, and I missed it. And, that's the things that fans don't hear all the time. It's some kickers, there's the stuff kickers have to think about, too. It's kind of nice to see what goes through the head of a player. Like, we know as football players ourselves, like, what goes through your head when you mess up. On that bigger stage of the XFL, seeing a kicker, he missed it. I mean, obviously, he wasn't like the biggest moment, but I'm waiting until it's like misses a game-winning kick,
And
and they
then
go to
while the other
interview him.
team's celebrating, you run onto the field and interview the kicker who missed.
I can't wait.
Oh,
I
give it to
can't
me.
wait.
Please give that to me. But I think my favorite
Please.
interview was it was during the DC Seattle game. It happened after a scrum. A
Mm-hmm.
couple people got penalized. One guy got pushed. Another guy threw a punch, I believe. Crazy stuff. And then you had one of the linemen, former Broncos player actually. He dropped a f bomb on live television,
Big F.
and they missed the censor by about 8 seconds. Like 5 seconds after it goes, everything goes quiet and muted. But they kind of
It's
missed
too
it,
late.
and he drops a hard f bomb on live TV, and that is the beauty
Hard.
of these interviews,
Hard.
and that easily my favorite part. I thought it was awesome.
No, that was amazing.
But Jalen, your thoughts on this weekend as a whole from the opening action of the XFL?
Honestly, I can't wait. I don't know what to expect. Honestly, I was expecting it to be good. I definitely expected it to perform way better than the AAF did. Uh, I didn't expect this high level of football. I definitely expected it to be better than the AAF. The AAF at some points you could definitely tell that some of those
Mm-hmm.
guys didn't deserve to
Mm-hmm.
play football. But this week there was just a lot of times that it just looked like of NFL game. Like obviously there were certain plays that weren't made that could have been made by kind of the high tier NFL players.
Of course,
But they
like
were
bad
like,
drops and bad passes, but
yeah.
what do you expect?
But honestly, all around, great football. I would say the competition level, well not competition level, but gameplay wise, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a cool medium between college football and NFL football. I wouldn't say it's up to the standards of high grade NFL football, but I would definitely say that a lot of it was better
I
and play wise than
I do
college
agree.
football.
My favorite thing from the league, I did love the competitiveness, but once again, I love the transparency. As a fan, I love being able to listen to everything and listening to the reasonings, and be able to get those silent interviews and be able to get interviews of head coaches during games and that kind of stuff. And I love that. Moving on from the XFL though, which was amazing weekend. Can't wait till the next one. Big news coming
Can't
out
wait.
last night. The MLB is considering changing their playoff rules. So currently, the way the MLB playoff works, you get four teams, or you get five teams from each league, the AL and the NL. They make the playoffs. We have the division winners, who the top three seeds pretty much. Then you have two wildcard teams, and those two wildcard teams play in a one-game series, winner take all. They advance to the divisional round. Highest seed plays a low seed. Two seed plays a three seed. Then you advance to the championship game, and so on. But the proposed new, some of the new proposed guidelines is just trying to make baseball a little more interesting. It's breaking away from tradition, but I believe it's something. Maybe not these rules exactly, but it is something I believe needs to happen to the MLB if they want to start being a little more appealing to the American audiences.
Mhm.
So, what the new rules? Let me explain it in the best ways possible. Seven teams from each league will make the playoffs
Alrighty.
instead of the five. So we're going from 10 teams total to 14 teams total out of the 30 team league. And so currently it's five with those three division winners and two wildcard teams, like I said. But in this new one, they'll have teams with the
Yeah.
best records in the AL and NL respectively. They get a first round bye of the wild card round. So those that team with the best record in NL gets a bye. Team with the best record in AL gets a bye. And then the division winner with the second best record in the league picks their opponent out of the three wildcard teams. Those three wildcard teams are the ones that do not win the division. So yeah, the second division winner and second best record picks their opponent. Then after that, you have the division winner with the third best record. They get to pick their opponent out of the remaining two wildcard teams. Then you have the best wildcard team gets home field advantage over the remaining wildcard team. And all of this whole decision, is going to be televised live nationally. So we're kind of bringing in like reality TV into the MLB. And
Just a little bit.
I thought this decision was wild. But so all wildcard series are a best of three, with the top seed being the home team for all three games, which is huge. The three winners and the team with the bye advance to the divisional round, and then everything else is played out as usual. I think
Okay,
these
I did have a
changes.
question for you, real quick,
Yes,
just to clarify from
of course, of course. Yeah,
three
what's
wins or best, so first to two.
yeah. So first to two wins. It's a best of three series.
All right,
Yeah,
so three games
like the
total.
rest
That's
of the series. It's best of three, then they'll
max.
go best of five, best of seven. Like how they already operate.
Okay.
A couple things from this. I do like. I'm not sure if I like them being able to choose their opponents, because that's really dangerous waters. Because if anything, if you're the second best team in the league and you try to choose the seemingly the worst or the best matchup for you, so the worst team out of the group, that's giving a lot of bulletin board material to that team. But if you win that game, if you win that series, it's just expected. But if you lose, you're going to get ridiculed out of the building. So you really don't want to mess that
Yeah,
one up if you're the top seed in that series. One thing I do like
that
though,
that could also be a bad thing. Is
yeah, continue.
Yeah, okay. One thing that could be a bad thing is, let's say you do try to avoid that one team you know you might have a bad chance against. Let's say you do pick a different team to try to avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
Then that team ends up winning and meeting up with you again. So
Ooh,
instead of you having to take them out early, now you have to get them later. And so it's kind of like it's yeah, you get to choose, but now your decisions, should you get rid of the team that poses the most danger to you now? Should you get rid of just a other team and let everyone else play? Because this baseball, yeah, it gets tiring and stuff like that. You have to switch pitchers and stuff, but it's not like a basketball or football where you can just hope the other team is tired.
Mm-hmm.
It's baseball. You're gonna be able to recuperate. Uh, I understand there's still going to be the here's and there's of injuries and tiredness, and but still, like the chances of that team being healthy and coming back at you, you waiting to go after them might be a mistake, but you going at them early might also be a
That
mistake.
could definitely be a
So I
positive
feel
too.
like a
It does
lot of
add
that
a
has to
lot.
go into it.
There's a lot of bias, but it does add some more strategy into this, which could make for interesting TV, which is what they're going after. They're going after trying to make the game more excited and more interesting, especially for younger audiences and for people that don't watch a lot of baseball, which is something I'm okay with them experimenting because I love the sport of baseball and I would be okay with them making some changes so it becomes a little more popular again. And so it becomes a little more widely watched
Me
again.
too.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My favorite thing about this is that we no longer have these single game eliminations in the wild cards. It's a series, a best of three series, which is something I think that right now, if they stick with the regular playoffs, but instead made the wild card teams play best of three series, that would make it a lot better than it already is. I think that's one change that needs to be made,
I'd be all right with that,
but this
that
is
too.
something that we could look into with this new one. But of course, not everyone is on board. Baseball is probably the most the sport filled with the most traditionalists, from either the owners, general managers, front office to the players themselves. One of the biggest opponents of this possible rule change is Reds All-Star starting pitcher Trevor Bauer. He said in a tweet to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred is, quote, "No idea who made this new playoff format proposal, but Rob is responsible for releasing it, so I'll direct this to you, Rob Manfred. Your proposal is absurd for too many reasons to type on Twitter and proves you have absolutely no clue about baseball. You're a joke." Trevor Bauer not holding back
All right,
on
pretty
really his
straightforward.
words.
Not at all.
I wonder if he doesn't like this new proposed rule change.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does at
Okay.
all.
But of course, I'm not sure if he's speaking for everyone or if he's just speaking for himself. I'm sure there's plenty of players that hold these same feelings. Trevor Bauer is known as a guy that likes to speak out and isn't afraid of it, and that's why I appreciate him. Um, but of course, this is one of the arguments against it. There's a lot of arguments against it. Personally, if I could change the MLB playoffs, like I said, I keep it the same, except make that wild card game a best of three series, and then we're fine. But the MLB, with all this, I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to make baseball more watchable. NBA fans love watching the All Star draft. It's entertaining to see who those top guys and team captains are going to take, right? Right. I'm not in the
Definitely.
minority with that. Um, so they're trying to make reality TV for baseball. I'm really interested on where this is going to go. Jalen,
Yeah, I kind of want to
yeah.
see where.
You're saying
I just I'm really looking forward to see where they go with this, where they change, if they keep it the way it is,
I'm
if
really
they kind of
curious.
go with this plan but kind of switched up, or what they're going to do with it.
I'm looking forward to seeing on where this story takes us. But we're going to move from baseball on into a
Definitely.
return of a fan favorite segment, which is our overreactions segment. In this, we will I'll make a statement and we'll determine if that is an overreaction or not. But also, introducing this week, we're going to is maybe it is overreaction or maybe it's just kind of overreaction, but we're going to introduce severities of this, and that's going to be determined. Our
Hmm.
severity of it
Hmm.
is we're going to be comparing that to a penalty in either like football terms, hockey terms, or basketball terms, and all that fun stuff. You ready to get started, Jalen, and
So on and
kind of
so forth.
revamp this a little bit?
All right.
Okay, statement number
Yeah.
one.
Let's try to revamp this. Get this.
The XFL will last at least 5 seasons.
Hmm. All right, all right. If I'm going off of just this week, looked ticket number, I would say this is just about right. I don't see any flag on the play here. I think this could be perfect. I expect the XFL to last longer because the AAF people don't want. A lot of people, even though the AAF did fail, a lot of people didn't want it to. Even though it did, I just think the people part of it weren't the right people.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fans are going to refuse to let this fail. If it continues to hype up the way it
There's
did
a lot
this
of fan
week,
support on
I
Twitter and
think the
in the
fans are
seats
going
as
to
well.
refuse to let it.
There's some good crowds over the
Definitely,
weekend.
it definitely has a lot more support. Definitely, a lot of the stadiums were filled completely,
Mm-hmm.
if not.
Not
But
MetLife,
on this one,
but there's
I
some
do not,
big crowds.
yeah, definitely no flag on this play.
I like it. Same sentiments for the most part here as well. Statement number 2. Houston Roughnecks quarterback PJ Walker will win the MVP, and the Roughnecks will be 2020 inaugural XFL champions.
Okay, holding on to play here, little play. I think it's a. I think there's a lot of people who performed really well. I think the fact that the LA Wildcats fired their D coordinator after the game shows.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people perform really well. Multiple
Mm-hmm.
positions perform really well. So I think there's a lot of people who you could also consider.
Of course, you got to throw Carl Jones into there. You got to
That's right.
show possible face of the league, Matt
Got it,
McGloin. Maybe not. But
Yep.
you could definitely make the argument that
There's a lot
PJ
of people,
Walker and
and
Carl Jones are the top two candidates for the MVP race.
I would say after the first week, those are my top two. But I'm definitely going to have to call Holden on this play. I think you're holding back a lot of the candidates and other teams to say that they're just automatically going to sweep off of that first week.
You know, I'm gonna go with this. Is some of the same sentiments. I'm gonna go false start. I think we're moving a little early with this statement, and we gotta bring it back a little bit and chill.
All right.
Okay.
Just bring it back a little bit.
Yeah,
drop
just
it back
just
10
some 5
yards.
yards. We just a little too early. You can't do
5
that.
yards. My bad. I was thinking of my holding. My 10-year hold.
Replay the down. Third
Okay.
statement.
Okay. Replay it down.
The DC Defenders are the best football team in their city.
I think off of performance wise, not per se that they went against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is actually difficult because they played really well. And it's kind of hard.
I'm gonna say
to
that
just say that they're not.
It's not an overreaction based on the skill level that they on the field. At least in talking competition, of course, if the teams play head to head, it would be a way different story. But if we're just making this statement, I think it's not an overreaction. I think the DC Defenders, they're charging more for tickets too, because I think you're paying for a higher quality of football. Like I mentioned over on the Twitter. But if you want to watch a competitive football game with a DC team being in the game and maybe even winning the game, go to the Defenders game and watch their games because they're putting on the better show than the Redskins can. And I believe the DC Defenders, at least one thing, they're not going to be forcing a player to play with cancer and making him get 3 doctors to say that he has cancer for them to believe him. No shots fired on this show. No shots fired at all.
I took that one to heart.
I wonder why.
Honestly, 100%. I hate the Redskins. I took it very personally when they did that. But my least favorite team
cancer or anything either,
in
right?
the entirety of the NFL. Yeah, and not at all. It's not a serious thing at all.
You didn't have a life-threatening illness like this
football.
Guy. You weren't.
Not at all. Fucking stupid.
Hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Right now, or just organization.
Sorry, sponsors. We love you, Anchor.
The Redskins. I don't care.
I do. I like money.
I hate
Hate's a good word. Okay. Yeah. Screw
I
the
hate them
Redskins. But this is not
with
an
the.
overreaction.
But
And we're
on this one,
mhm.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. Even though I hate the Redskins, I'm gonna have to throw. I'm gonna have to throw that taunting penalty on you.
You
No,
said
that's
targeting,
taunting.
taunting,
I'll have to
taunting,
throw that taunting penalty. No, taunting. I'm gonna have to throw
taunting.
the
Oh,
taunting
okay.
penalty on you.
Taunting, right?
You can't disrespect them like that. I'm
I
gonna do
like
taunting,
that.
but
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying I don't agree with you.
That's fair. I'll take that.
I agree with you, but I'm gonna start.
I'm fine with that. Moving into our fourth statement, the proposed MLB playoff rules will be adopted in its entirety, if not next season, but the season after. You know, if we're going off, if we're going off of this one, a little baseball. You know, I'm gonna say it's a double play. I say that because
Double play.
yeah, not only are they going to get out, not only is this rule not going to be implemented, but it's going to be even worse than just one out. It's going to backfire on them, and it's going to turn players against the league even more.
Mm.
That's what I'm
You
going
know,
with.
I'm gonna go a little bit opposite. I'm gonna go a little opposite here. I'm gonna call what's it called, ground double.
Rule double.
I feel like it's gonna pass just because they want to switch it up, and they have. I don't. I think they're gonna have to switch it up because they think that they need to, and I think they don't have anything else yet. So I think they're gonna implement it just because they don't have anything else. So I call ground rule double. You know, it happens to be the only thing there. Bounce right into the right spot. It's right there. So I think definitely, I think it's probably going to be implemented just because they're panicking, even though they don't really need to. I think they're panicking a little bit, and they're going to end up going with.
You know what? I can dig that. I can dig that, Jalen. Last statement of the week. Recently, the Philip Rivers and the the Los Angeles Chargers have decided to part ways with each other, and Philip Rivers will become a free agent. This statement, Jalen, Philip Rivers will be playing in the AFC East next season.
See, wait, give me a quick reminder who's in the AFC East. I'm pretty sure I know, but I
Thanks.
don't want to sound
Patriots,
stupid.
Dolphins, Bills, not Redskins, Jets. He might not be starting.
I don't see him there. I don't.
Philip Rivers is going to be playing on the Patriots because Tom Brady is going to be going to the Indianapolis Colts.
I think they're. I think I'm gonna. I'm
And
gonna
with
call
that
pass
statement
interference.
that I just
You get in the
made,
way of a completable pass.
okay, I'm just kidding.
I think that you're kind of limiting him down, and I think they're going to pull a Jay Cutler, and he's going to be the Bears quarterback.
Ooh, okay. I do like that. If not the quarterback, if not the starter, at least bring him in as a veteran backup to push Mitch to not suck.
I think he can mentor Mitch Trubisky
That
to be.
is a great call, Jalen. I think right there we just overturned a bad call on the field. The ruling has changed. Thank you for
I
that.
think
But if
we
we're
just
going back to my
overturned it.
statement that
We
Philip
just did
Rivers is
more
going to be
than
on the
NFL refs
Patriots.
did in the.
Oh yeah, we're better than Al Riveron. But I think if I'm going off of my statement of Philip Rivers being on the Patriots and Tom Brady being on the Indianapolis Colts, I'm gonna have to call unnecessary roughness on myself because that's a little much, and you can't do that. So
Much.
I'm
You
gonna
can't
take
do
that.
that.
But that is our new and improved overactions corner. Thanks for tuning into that one, everyone. Tell us what you
Yeah,
think
let
of
us
that.
know.
Yeah, let us know. I think it's better. I think it's a little more fun. Instead of just saying, oh, overaction or non
I think it's a little
overaction.
bit more fun than it used to be.
Exactly. Also, with these statements, please let us know what you think on these as well. I love to see what you guys are thinking on this. That's about to go and wrap it up. But before we end this podcast, we have to have our second ever Fan of the Week. We are naming the Fan of the Week award Player of the Week. And this week's Player of the Week is Ryan Watson, due to the reasons of being the first monthly contributor to the fourth and long podcast. Ryan, we thank you so much for your monthly donation of 99 cents. Any bit helps. Of course, if you guys are interested, like I mentioned in the beginning, I can link all this up and put it on the Twitters as well. But you guys can sign up to donate. Any range from like 99 cents to however much you please.
Any range.
Monthly donation just to keep the show
You give
up
us
and
a
running
penny.
because y'all gotta understand, man. We invest in this. We're college students. We're not doing the best financially. So you don't have
Not
to,
at
of course.
all. I got
We're
rent
not
to pay,
expecting
you know?
anyone to do this because I wouldn't. But hey, if you want to be a great person and get your good karma going, hey, hit us up, okay? But
Yeah, and then the more donations and stuff we get, the faster we can get to the point of getting the merch out there. I know you guys saw those nice headbands. We had a couple of requests for those headbands that we had. We can get those out there. T-shirts, all that stuff. That stuff comes from donations. Of course, we're doing some stuff out of our pocket right now just to the
everything's out of
podcast.
pocket.
Hopefully, I sound better next podcast. I will have a better mic.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Jalen is getting a legit mic. Or Fourth Along's UFC correspondent Blake Campbell is getting a brand new mic, so quality is going to skyrocket. And next time you hear us, everyone's voices are going to be as crystal clear as my beautiful radio voice.
And soon you might be seeing. Ooh. I know you guys saw some of those pictures, but you guys might be seeing us soon also with the face cams. We're bringing that in too.
Keep her tuned. Both on Spotify, Anchor, and on the YouTube page as well. But with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap it up this week. We thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode on Spotify or Anchor or whatever method you're using to listen to the show. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all your support. Please continue to share us to your friends and family. And just keep enjoying some good content. We're getting better with this. We're going to get some better equipment as well. And we're just going to keep improving, keep grinding, and just keep sending it. Have a great night, everyone.
Keep the train going. Or day.
Whatever time you're listening
to this. Have a good one.
But whatever you guys do, go out and attack the day with gusto and with some intensity. Have a good one, guys.